Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS producer Sydney Bowles, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and Chris Flaherty, Peter Brown with the weather, Gretchen Carey with the community calendar, and Anthony Matos with sports. Thank you for joining us. It's that time of year again, Burlington's annual town meeting. The Burlington Town Meeting members will convene on May 8th to vote on multiple warrant articles, including the town's $168 million operating budget. According to documents included with the budget, the proposal represents the town's commitment to keeping taxes low while providing rigorous services. Among the warrant articles are about $600,000 for the continuing replacement of vehicles for the DPW, $700,000 for grass field renovations at the Francis Wyman baseball field, and $200,000 for stream cleaning and drainage to prevent flooding, amongst many other articles, by the way. Town meeting will be live streamed on BCAT starting at 7 p.m. If you want to get a good idea how the purest form of democracy, the New England Town Meeting, works, you might want to stop in there at Fogelberg Auditorium. The future of Burlington's Blanchard Wheeler corridor will be connected, sustainable, balanced, and vibrant, according to a vision statement presented by the Burlington Planning Department in a recent public meeting. The Blanchard Wheeler corridor includes Mary Cummings Park, the Northeastern University Innovation Campus, some workplaces, and a few retail properties. In previous public meetings, where residents told researchers they like the area's more rural feel, and access to natural resources, but disliked the lack of connectivity and the unsafe roadways. The statement read in part, and I quote, "Through creative placemaking, the corridor will reflect the character of its population, history, and natural environments. The corridor will balance new development with the preservation of natural resources, as well as establish a mix of uses that support a vibrant district," end quote. The Planning Board and other parts of government will now use the vision statement as a guide as it considers possible action items, such as a bike lane network, a district parking plan, new public parks, and zoning changes to allow denser developments. All of those, of course, will require town meeting approval. In 2023, enrollment in computer science courses in Burlington schools was 88% boys and 12% girls, roughly the same as other communities in the state. But according to computer science teacher Shireen Tyrell, the school has been making strides in helping more people get involved in STEM fields, including computer science. Recently, BHS took 60 girls on a trip to Microsoft to learn about how technology is used, and a group of BHS students won second place in a recent CGI Girls IT Challenge, where they built an app to help people pronounce names they may be unfamiliar with. I should perhaps borrow that app. In an interview with BNews recently, BPS Superintendent Dr. Eric Conti said the programs are part of the school's effort to integrate STEM fields into every part of education. Let's listen.
We really have worked hard as a district over many years to have a computer science pathway from elementary already through high school. I think for many years computer science was thought of as a separate skill or sort of a niche, class or elective, and really trying to bring that more into a new literacy for all of our students, all of our graduates. So you're seeing computer science courses being developed in the art department, in the business department, in the math department, which is traditionally does computer science, in the science department. And we're seeing more and more kids want to take those courses and a higher demand for those courses.
That clip was part of Dr. Conti's superintendent update, his weekly sit-down with BNews. Elsewhere in that same interview, he touched on how cafeteria workers were adjusting to a new food service company and his ongoing work to bring a newcomer academy to Burlington schools. In the first edition of Superintendent Updates since the change to the makeup of the school committee, BNews producer Sydney Bowles asked him how things changed for him with a new committee member.
The phrase I like with any sort of group is they sort of form, storm, and norm. And I think we're in the forming part of the relationship, and the storming doesn't necessarily mean disagreeable. It just means we all have to get used to working with one another, and then we'll start to operate around norms. I think the biggest thing school committees do for me is obviously they create policy, they support budgets, they are who I report to. But I think the most important thing they do for me is communicate to me the values of the community, and then my job is to operationalize those values And I think Jeremy's voice in those values conversations will be important and effective.
A growing share of the population in Burlington are immigrants and refugees who are dealing with American government and school systems for the first time. One challenge for these families is that without health insurance, it can be difficult to get physicals and vaccination that kids are needed that need to start school. A clinic based at Marshall Simons Middle School is aiming to fix that. The Welcome Alliance gives Tufts University School of Medicine students a chance to treat patients in the real world while filling a need in the community. BNews producer Sydney Bowles has the story.
It's the evening of May 1st, and a team of first-year medical students from Tufts University is preparing to welcome patients to a makeshift clinic in the Marshall Simons cafeteria.
The main goal of the clinic is to help incoming immigrant and refugee families allow their children to start school. So this is a very niche and underserved population within Burlington and within the Massachusetts as a whole. And so we work to help this usually hidden population in getting them started in school, because when you first come to the United States, it can be a scary place, and so we just want to help people and their families transition here.
I think what's really neat about Welcome Alliance is that, one, you're working in a school system, and two, you're working with people who might be having their first interaction with the healthcare system in the United States, which has a lot of flaws, but what you get to bring to it is a holistic version of medicine, I think. Right at there, we have a food drive, a chance to get actual clothes that might prepare you for winter or for spring, whatever it is, and some food to bring home.
We have interpreter services. We have med students that are bilingual, trilingual, so that really helps. And I think that's the main source of comfortability of the patients, of just making sure, hey, are we on the same page? Are we communicating effectively? And I think that's how we make our patients and the children happy, and also the parents.
The medical students take their patients' height, weight, and blood pressure and conduct vision tests and regular physicals, with all their work checked by a team of 3 family physicians and pediatricians.
It's just a discussion of what's this person's experiences and how can we make them feel safe and healthy to start school, because that's what they have a right to do.
The origin of this clinic was when I got a phone call from Senator Cindy Friedman, who is a state senator for this district, and she alerted me to a problem that the Woburn and Burlington public schools were having, that there were folks who were coming into the district, often who are immigrants or refugees, who did not have any health insurance and needed to have physicals and immunizations in order to start school. And sometimes these kids were sitting at home for months waiting to go to school because they couldn't get a physical or immunizations. And Senator Friedman asked me if I could help her come up with a solution to this problem. And so she was able to get some modest funding for this program, and we were able to put this together.
Obviously, we know that there are a lot of issues with the healthcare system as a whole in the U.S., and that especially impacts the immigrant and refugee communities. And what we're kind of doing here is working on the smaller local level to kind of address some of those issues, at least in a transitional period, before we can hopefully achieve some broader, more policy-based resolutions of those problems.
Reporting from Marshall Simons Middle School, I'm Sydney Bowles.
Summer is just around the corner, and the Recreation Department has released its seasonal schedule. BNews reporter Robert Paris has the details.
Spring is here, but summer is right around the corner. On a rainy day, I went up to the Simon Park Treehouse, where I spoke with director Brendan Egan about the upcoming summer happenings.
We're excited. We have a lot of returning staff. A lot of our favorite programs are back. Club Simons, Park Place, middle school parks, those are all back. Programs for preschoolers all the way up through young teen, and then obviously our fitness programs and other programs for adults. We're really excited, like I said, for all the offerings we have.
One of the biggest events of the summer is Celebrate Burlington, which is slated for August 5th on the town common.
The planning for this year started last year. We're already getting sponsorships in. If there's a community group or business in Burlington that is looking to get involved in Celebrate Burlington, please contact our office. Our Assistant Director, Kelly Lehman, is handling Celebrate Burlington. And as you know, Robert, it's a giant day of fun. We're really looking forward to another successful event this year.
As we get closer and closer to the summer, Brendan and his department are eager to see families come out and enjoy the beautiful weather.
I'd just like to see happy faces. Hopefully everyone's having a good time, enjoying the weather, enjoying what we have to offer, and just enjoying the town of Burlington.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Burlington's Economic Development Office, along with the Middlesex 3 Coalition and the Massachusetts Innovation Network, are offering a new incubator space for emerging brands. Project Pop-Up, located in a prominent storefront at 3rd Ave in Burlington, is welcoming retailers, artists, and small businesses who are looking to take their concepts for brick-and-mortar test drive. Interested business owners can go to project-pop-up.com if they're interested. With the summer growing season upon us, the People Helping People community garden is about to get a lot busier. As they often do, the food pantry held a blessing of the garden with local clergy members. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty brings us this report.
Just a short walk behind Francis Wyman Elementary lies the Burlington Community Garden. The garden was first established in 2013 by People Helping People.
Back in 2012, we being People Helping People, and the Science Center and myself approached the school committee, and we pointed out that this part of the Francis Wyman property was pretty much undeveloped. Nothing was growing here. It was never utilized. So we asked if we could set the garden up here to get something going, and they authorized it in 2012. And in 2013, we had our first growing season where we did, I think, about 600 pounds.
For the past 3 years, the start of growing season has been marked with a special blessing from members of the Burlington clergy.
I happened to be talking to Father Mahoney after Mass one day, and we were just chatting, and you know, as I said earlier today, we should never underestimate the power of prayer. And I just said, you know, Father, this is right around the corner. You mind walking over with me and give me a little blessing? And he said, sure.
Grant, we pray, that this land, enriched by your bounty and cultivated by human hands, may be fertile with abundant crops. Then your people, enriched by the gifts of your goodness, will praise you unceasingly now and for all the ages.
It's always a pleasure to be here with the community, to bless the garden, and People Helping People and the food pantry do such wonderful work and help so many people in the community. It's just awesome to see new things growing and new life burgeoning. It's symbolic of how our community is always renewing itself and has new life and good things in the future.
Many are hopeful this is the beginning of a bountiful season for the garden.
I'm really happy to have the turnout we had, and it's a beautiful day. The sun came through. It was a little rainy earlier, and I just feel like that kind of speaks to how we hope the season goes.
The sun came out, which was kind of nice. It was kind of like an omen that everything's going to be good this year. It's always good. It just feels good to have people who care about other people in town come out and do something like this.
The prosperity of the community garden would not be possible without the work of dedicated volunteers.
You know, they spend hours upon hours in the garden every week, and there's a lot of work. There's weeding, there's watering. It's not easy, and we have volunteers that some of them spend 30 plus hours a week here in the garden. There's no way we'd be able to harvest 3,000 pounds of produce out of this garden without the incredible work from our volunteer team here.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNews Weekly.
Okay, if you've got a green thumb, you're good with a spade, a shovel, and a rake. You can call the People Helping People, and they'll hook you up with Peter, who will arrange for you to do some work down there. It's been a year since the Presbyterian Church in Burlington began offering community dinners as part of its Uplift initiative. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak was there.
A year ago, the Presbyterian Church in Burlington began offering free monthly community dinners.
It's been really great to see it grow and to see people coming back. Some of the same people come back month after month, which has been really nice. And we've found that it's meeting a need in the community. I think especially for people who may have been a little bit more isolated or lonely during the pandemic, it's a great outlet for folks to come and get together with friends and have a meal. Everything is home cooked. Volunteers help serve it.
So my husband does a lot of the cooking, and we come and set up and basically fill in where things are needed. We welcome you. We welcome everybody. We always have a vegetarian option and gluten-free stuff for people who need that. If you'd like to volunteer, we have a Sign Up Genius that's available on the website for the church. So you can sign up and volunteer. We have had volunteers from other churches.
We have a long-range vision for the church to become more of a support and more connected to the local community. Part of inviting Jim Sheridan from the Burlington Food Pantry here tonight is to let people know how they can get connected with other groups and organizations in town that offer supportive services, that may provide volunteer opportunities, and other ways for them to get more involved in what's going on in Burlington.
On the topic of people helping people,
yeah, my wife likes to come, so I go along with it.
community dinner regular Carl Christensen has a brother named Paul, who was an original founder of People Helping People.
In fact, they picked him as the town outstanding citizen. I'd like him to get a little recognition for it.
As you can see, we've got tons of people coming now, and everybody's having a wonderful time, and it's wonderful for us to see it and be part of it. And we welcome you.
We're so thankful to the volunteers from our church who show up month after month and bring the food and make it a hospitable place for all of our guests who come and join us.
From the Presbyterian Church in Burlington's Community Dinner, I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak.
Burlington High School's high-stakes quiz club took it up a notch by broadcasting its championship round live from the Fogelberg Auditorium. The student team, the Royal Children, beat out the teacher team and the Electric Mayhem by a resounding 24-11. Let's have a look.
Books and movies, multiple choice. In the Harry Potter movies, what character is known for his chess skills?
Ron Weasley.
That is correct.
Wizard's chess.
Movies and books,
Buzzing.
multiple choice.
Buzzing.
Who famously played Wednesday in the older...
She just died.
Christina Ricci?
Yeah.
Christina Ricci is correct. She did not die.
Oh wait, somebody died recently.
It doesn't matter, you got the answer.
Oh, that's not a trivia question for today.
Wait, let's just...
Music, multiple choice. What is the longest running musical in Broadway history that
The Phantom of the Opera.
is
that just
correct?
closed.
And this is our last question. History, multiple choice.
Let's give it.
What is the name
we're
of the
buzzing.
youngest
president of the United States?
name of the youngest daughter of the Romanov family who was rumored to have survived?
Anastasia.
Is correct. And I don't know if that's a fire drill, but
I thought that was a fire. I thought we were gonna
that's the end of our student versus teacher championship round with the Royal Children 24 and the Electric Mayhem 11 points. Give them both a huge round of applause.
Oh, that was a whipping. Julia Schwartzman, a sophomore on the winning team, said the victory was dedicated to her father, Paul, who's the wrestling coach, who said he lost the same competition in 1992 or something like that. The people who work for the town of Burlington do important jobs that sometimes fly under the radar. So in our series, Who Works for Burlington, we highlight some of the people and professions who make local government work. In the latest installment, BNews producer Sydney Bowles takes us to the library to meet the librarian who curates books for teen readers.
In our quest to bring you the stories of town employees you may not hear from all that often, we bring you the next installment of Who Works for Burlington. This time, we have the Burlington Public Library's young adult librarian, Jenna Cantino. Jenna used to be the youth services assistant part-time before stepping into this full-time role.
I actually did not mean to work in libraries.
Jenna was in the middle of a master's degree in education when she fell in love with working at a local library and never looked back.
At the time, I didn't start with young adults or children. I was just very much in a basic circulation job, and I was struggling a little bit because I always gravitated towards the young adult books, but I was 23, 24 years old, and I was like, oh, maybe this isn't, what was supposed to be for me. But I kept coming back to the young adult books. So then when a youth services position opened up here, I went for it, and it was like, okay, yeah, that's it. This is where I'm supposed to be.
I asked her what she loves about young adult literature.
Basically, it's very free. It's such a time of change because they're starting to gain independence. They're starting to figure out who they are. And it covers so much stuff, whether it's just like figuring out who you are, what you like, what you want to do in life. So it's more about the changes and the freedom that come with becoming more of an older child and into a teenager.
Jenna says she loves how many different kinds of things she gets to be a part of, from running programming to communicating with teen volunteers.
I update the website. I'm in charge of the young adult portion of the website, so making sure that the programs are all listed and up to date on that, as well as we have a teen-only Instagram, so making sure that we have the programs listed. I always try to do the new books every week that we add so they know. Sometimes it's working on a display, sometimes it's making sure that things all look okay in here. I do a lot of the book ordering as well as the video game ordering. It's great because it's great for people like me that want to do a lot of different things.
As for what she's looking forward to, summer.
Everything's starting to get back after COVID, so we're hoping to get more into our normal summer. So that's the biggest goal right now is summer.
Now you know who works for Burlington, and stay tuned for the next installment.
Those who don't read books have no advantage over people who can't read books. That's a quote from Mark Twain in 1885, but some people dispute who the author is. In any event, cooler than average temperatures continue this week as we get further into spring. BNEWS meteorologist Peter Brown has the details, and stay tuned for your community calendar with Gretchen Carey.
Well, hello everyone. This is Peter Brown with your weather for the next 7 days. Here we are heading in towards the second week of May. Now, as we start out our period on Friday, we should be seeing temperatures at this time of the year almost averaging up near 70. And again, we're going to be pretty cool on Friday. Temperatures only hovering around 60. Not quite as wet as it's been over the past couple of days, but still the chance of some showers in there. It's not until we get into the weekend where we see our temperatures finally start to bump back up to where they should be at this time of the year, again around 70. And as we round out the period next Thursday, again, average highs this year should be around 69 or 70. They're calling for much of the eastern U.S. to have above average temperatures. I think that's going to hold true if you were further west, probably getting out into western New York State and into the plains of Ohio and areas like that. Here, though, I think it's going to be just average, if not a little bit cooler than average, especially as we round out the end of the work week next week. So as we look at our precipitation chances, they're calling for us to have below average precipitation. That's probably going to hold true again. Remember, we're going to have to keep an eye on a potential coastal storm again moving up in towards southern New England as we get in towards next Thursday and next Friday. Again, not a certainty, but again, something to keep an eye on. The weekend this time is going to look fairly nice, really the polar opposite of what last weekend was. Again, temperatures about average, maybe slightly above average as we get in towards Sunday. Temperatures hovering in the upper 60s, around 70, and sunny. Those sunny conditions and temperatures around 70 continue into the beginning of the work week. Thereafter, though, we see that chance of that slow-moving, sluggish ocean storm moving up from the mid-Atlantic. We think it's going to stay south of us right now. Again, another cold Canadian high-pressure center situated north of New England might be keeping that storm away from us, but again, that's going to keep that cool northerly wind in here with temperatures only in the mid to upper 60s, maybe even a little bit cooler than that if we have a little bit more cloud cover. So unfortunately, it looks like those real warm conditions that we saw in the middle of last month are a distant memory here in the Burlington area. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your Community Calendar. On May 10th, from 4 to 5 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having an event for children in grades 1 through 5 called Read to a Therapy Dog. Pre-registration is required. To register and for more information, go to burlingtonpubliclibrary.org. Also on May 10th at 7 p.m., the Made in Burlington store will be having a Patriotic Wreath Workshop. To register and for more information, go to the Made in Burlington website. On May 13th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Burlington Mall will be having the second Touch a Truck event outside the parking lot by Fogo de Chão. For more information about the event, go to the following website. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your Community Calendar.
And now let's turn to Anthony Matos for a look at the latest sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Matos in this weekly sports report. We are now in May, which is the final month of the regular season. We have a lot to get to, so let's get to it. The softball team is now 11-0 after a dominant win over Belmont 12-0 on April 28th. Burlington's game against Woburn was postponed, and they will now continue with their next opponent, which is Westford Academy, on May 4th. As this taping, the game is underway. Burlington Unified basketball team is now 2-0 after a 60-59 wild win over Reading Memorial on May 3rd. The Red Devils will be at Winchester High School on May 11th. The Red Devils track teams had both great performances over Stoneham on May 3rd at Varsity Field against Wakefield on April 24th at Varsity Field. The Lady Devils won 76-55 and the boys 93-42. The girls are now 3-1 while the boys are 4-0. Congrats on another win. BHS alumni Rashab Kurkash has committed to Notre Dame for another season of track. For more, we go to BNEWS sports reporter Robert Paris.
BHS alum Rashab Prakash is off to the University of Notre Dame this summer to finish his track career after losing an entire season due to the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. Now finishing his senior year at Cornell, he cannot believe how fast time has gone by.
Pretty wild to think about because it feels like, it's like cliche, but it feels like just yesterday. I was like a senior at Burlington running, and now 4 years later, throughout everything in college, I'm now finishing up senior year at Cornell. So yeah, it's just, I'm really grateful to have had running in my life and to have these opportunities that it's given me. So it's been pretty cool, and I'm really grateful for it.
Prakash and his Cornell athletes have finished third in the Ivy League.
In my 4 years that we've been here, we finished my past senior year third in the Ivy League and third in the Northeast region in cross country. And third in the Northeast region got us one spot out of qualifying for the NCAA national meet, which is a big goal that we've had. So to do those goals as a team and be a key part of the team doing that and like a senior leader.
The National Collegiate Athletic Association gave athletes affected by the pandemic the eligibility to run an entire season after graduation.
The entire 2021 season of cross-country, indoor track, and outdoor track, we obviously didn't have any competitions, so I got those seasons back. As well as one extra outdoor season. So a total of 4 seasons. I had that extra year and a half of running. I didn't know if I was going to use it, but after COVID, my junior and senior years going so well with running, I realized it was something that I wanted to continue pursuing.
The Ivy League schools do not allow graduates to compete. However, Prakash went looking elsewhere to other schools in the U.S. who are accepting athletes affected by these canceled seasons.
Which is why I couldn't stay at Cornell to do my grad year, else that was something that I, heavily would have considered, especially with my younger brother also coming to Cornell. I was looking around and just looking at programs where I've seen that former Ivy League athletes have had success at, and also schools that had great academic programs that I was looking at. Notre Dame, I thought, was the best fit for me in terms of the, teammates that I met there, the scholarship package that they were able to offer, the facilities they had, and the academic program that I saw there.
As his journey at Cornell comes to a close, Rashab is looking forward to continuing his career on the track this summer.
I have a lot of unfinished running goals that I want to do. I would say some of my bigger goals are to compete and help out a nationally ranked cross-country program. I think Notre Dame was within the top 10 in the NCAA last year, and they returned everybody on that team plus me and 2 other graduate transfers. So I really think that they have the potential to be a top 5, top 3 podium team.
It'll be nice to see how he wraps things up. I don't think he intends to become a professional athlete per se. Paul Hogan is actually running professionally for us, and Rashab's probably just about at that level, but I think he's sort of wrapping up his athletic career and then going to be moving on into life. I think he does computer science stuff, so I'm sure he'll do fine there.
I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
Boys volleyball competed at Lexington High School on April 27th, but they were shut out 0-3. They won the next 2 games against Salem on April 28th, 3-1, and Wakefield 3-0. Burlington's game with Salem on May 3rd was postponed. Somerville will visit the Vanilla Gymnasium on May 5th. The Devils go to 5-4 this season. Girls and boys lacrosse had matchups against the Watertown Red Raiders on April 28th. Both teams had huge wins, with the girls winning 17-6 and the boys 17-3. The girls' game against Melrose on May 1st was postponed. They did compete against Arlington on May 3rd, where they got a 20-8 win. Congrats, Devs. The Red Devils got a 9-4 win over the Spy Ponders. Both teams play Belmont on May 5th. The girls will be away and the boys home. Currently, the girls are 5-3 and the boys are 6-3. Boys baseball lost by 2, 3-5 against Belmont on April 28th. Their game against Woburn was postponed on May 3rd. As of this taping, they are competing against Stoneham High School on May 4th at Francis Wyman. Burlington is now 5-5 this season. Girls tennis had 2 meets this past week. They competed against Arlington on April 27th, where they were shut out 0-5. Burlington was back in the win column against Wakefield Memorial on May 1st with a 4-1 win. Congrats, ladies. Burlington moves to 5-4 this season and will compete against Woburn Memorial on May 4th. As this taping, the meet is still to be played. Boys tennis competed with Central Catholic on May 3rd, where they had a 4-1 win. Burlington goes to 6-3 this season and will compete at Woburn Memorial on May 4th. As this taping, the meet is still to be played. For more Red Devil action, go to bcattv.org/sports and check out our Twitter page at BNewsSports. That's all for now. I'm Anthony Matos, back to you guys in the studio.
And as we always do, we leave you with a photo of the week, a moment or a scene from our community sent in by a viewer like you. This week's photo comes from Megan Nowicek, and it looks like her kids Stephen and Charlotte have caught a rare and special double rainbow. That's got to be pretty good luck. If you have a photo you'd like to share, email it to bcat@bcattv.org, and you may see it on next week's edition of B News. Also, don't forget you can go to our website and sign up for the daily BCAT News newsletter. And that's it from the news desk here at B News Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher. Thank you for joining us.